I sat alone in my empty apartment staring at the single cupcake with its unlit candle. 30 years old today, and not a single happy birthday from anyone in my family. My phone kept buzzing with work emails and family group chat messages about my sister's kids and my brother's job interview. 3 years in a row now. 3 birthdays where I'd been completely invisible to the people who were supposed to care the most. All those years of dropping everything to help them, putting my life on hold whenever they called, and this is what I got in return. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. I opened my laptop and booked the luxury vacation of my dreams. One they would definitely notice but wouldn't be invited to join. In my family, I've always been the responsible one. The reliable daughter who never caused trouble, never needed rescuing, and somehow became the default solution to everyone else's problems. I'm Jordan Andrews, 30 years old as of today, single and apparently forgettable to my own family. I became the unofficial caretaker for my aging parents at 24, when my dad had his first heart scare. My siblings, Jack and Amanda, were both married with their own families, so naturally the unmarried daughter became the designated helper. I lived just 20 minutes away while they had the convenient excuse of living in neighboring towns. Not too far to visit for holidays, but just far enough to avoid regular caregiving duties. Jordan can handle it became the family mantra. Need someone to drive dad to doctor appointments. Jordan can handle it. Mom needs help repainting the kitchen. Jordan can handle it. Brother needs a loan for his business venture. Sister needs last-minute childcare. Jordan can handle it. And I did. I handled it all while trying to build my own career in marketing. I postponed a promotion that would have required more travel. I turned down dates because I never knew when the next family emergency would arise. I built my life around being available whenever they called. This pattern started long before I became the family fixer. In grade school, my straight A's were expected, while Jack's C+ was celebrated with ice cream because he tried so hard. When I won the regional spelling bee in 6th grade, my parents skipped the ceremony because Amanda had a soccer game the same day. My trophy still sits in a box in my closet, never displayed like Amanda's participation medals. During my high school graduation, my parents spent most of the ceremony taking photos of Jack in his football uniform for a different event later that day. In college, I worked 2 jobs to pay my tuition while my parents helped finance Amanda's wedding and Jack's down payment on his first house. "You're so independent, Jordan," they'd say, as if my self-sufficiency was a reason to provide less support rather than a quality to admire. 2 years ago, I finally tried addressing this pattern. We were at Sunday dinner at my parents' house, and Amanda was going on about how my mother had watched her kids 3 days that week. I was thinking, I said during a rare moment of conversation silence, maybe you could help me move next weekend. I finally found an apartment closer to work. There was an awkward pause before my father said, "That's your brother's fantasy football draft weekend, and your mother has the grandkids. I can help the weekend after." Jack offered, though we all knew his help would consist of showing up 2 hours late and leaving early. "It's fine," I said, swallowing my disappointment. "I can handle it." "That's our Jordan," my mother beamed, always so capable. Last year, they actually remembered my birthday at first. We planned dinner at my favorite restaurant. I took the day off work, bought a new dress, even got my hair done. An hour before we were supposed to meet, Amanda called. "Tommy has a low-grade fever, and I don't want to leave him with a sitter. Can we reschedule your birthday dinner?" Before I could respond, she added, "Mom and Dad already know. They suggested next week maybe." That rescheduled dinner never happened. When I brought it up 2 weeks later, my mother looked genuinely confused. "Oh, was that still something you wanted to do?" But the moment that truly cracked my heart happened just last month. My mother posted a Throwback Thursday photo of Amanda on her social media. The caption read, "My amazing daughter has always been the light of our family. So proud." The truly absurd part. The photo was posted on May 3rd. My mother had posted about her amazing daughter on my birthday last year, while completely forgetting it was my birthday. That was when I realized this wasn't just forgetfulness or being busy. I was simply less important, less visible, less valued. This morning I woke up with that flutter of birthday hope that never quite dies no matter how many disappointments you've endured. Maybe this year would be different. Maybe turning 30 would register as significant enough for them to remember. I checked my phone, 3 work emails, a text from Amanda asking if I could pick up her kids' prescriptions, and a group chat message from Jack about his job interview. Nothing else. I got ready for work telling myself it was still early. By lunchtime, my phone had buzzed constantly, but not a single happy birthday. My parents called about getting their gutters cleaned. Jack texted asking if he could borrow $200 until payday. Amanda sent photos of her kids with a reminder about those prescriptions. It was during this moment, sitting alone at my desk with a sad vending machine sandwich, that I discovered something that felt like a punch to the stomach. My mother had posted another special daughter tribute on social media for our family dog Luna. Happy Adoption Day to our special girl. 5 years ago today, this beautiful soul joined our family and filled our hearts with joy. My mother had remembered the day they got a dog 5 years ago but forgot her own daughter's 30th birthday. That was the moment something inside me finally broke and then immediately began to rebuild into something stronger. I left work early, unable to focus on anything except the hollow feeling in my chest. The apartment I returned to was empty and quiet, no surprise party waiting, no birthday cards in the mail, not even a text message asking about my day. Just silence, and the evidence of my hurried morning coffee mug in the sink bed, unmade yesterday's clothes draped over a chair. I stood in my living room, phone in hand, staring at the family group chat where everyone was discussing weekend plans that once again didn't include me unless they needed something. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I could type something passive-aggressive. In case anyone's wondering, I turned 30 today. I could be direct. You all forgot my birthday. Again. I could play the martyr. It's fine that no one remembered my birthday. I'm used to it. But what would any of that accomplish? A flurry of belated well wishes, insincere apologies, excuses about busy schedules, maybe a hastily arranged dinner next week that would inevitably be rescheduled when something more important came up. No. For once in my life, I didn't want to be understanding Jordan, reasonable Jordan who can handle it. I wanted to do something just for me, something that prioritized my happiness without considering everyone else's needs and schedules first. I sat down at my laptop and opened a new browser window. Almost without conscious thought, I found myself searching for luxury beach vacations. The algorithm must have been listening to my daydreams, because the first result was the exact place I'd fantasized about visiting for years, the Amara Pristine Resort in the Maldives. Overwater bungalows with glass floors to see the fish below. Private infinity pools overlooking the crystal blue ocean. Personal butlers. 5-star dining. The price for a 10-day stay made me wince. It was equivalent to 3 months of my rent money I'd been saving to help Jack with a down payment on his new house. Money I'd worked overtime to earn while my siblings were enjoying their family lives and relying on me to pick up the slack. I hesitated for all of 5 seconds before entering my credit card information. The confirmation email arrived with a cheerful "Congratulations on your booking" subject line. I felt a rush of adrenaline followed immediately by guilt. What would my family say? How would they manage without me for 10 days? Who would drive Dad to physical therapy? Who would help Mom with her new phone setup? Who would babysit Amanda's kids when her sitter canceled last minute? And then it hit me, they would figure it out, just like I'd had to figure everything out on my own. They were all capable adults. My absence might even make them appreciate what they'd been taking for granted. But the real thrill came with my next thought: I wouldn't tell them where I was going. Not the destination, not the luxury, not the cost. I'd simply inform them I'd be unavailable for those dates due to a work opportunity. Let them assume I was at some boring conference in a budget hotel somewhere. And then once I was there surrounded by paradise, I'd post photos. Beautiful, envy-inducing photos of tropical luxury. Not tagged with the location, of course. That would make it too easy. Just enough to make them wonder, to make them ask questions, to make them finally see me. As this plan formed in my mind, my phone rang. It was my mother. "Jordan, honey, are you coming for Sunday dinner this weekend? Your father wants to grill steaks." Not "Happy birthday, Jordan." Not "Sorry, we forgot your special day." Just another expectation, another demand on my time. "Actually, Mom, I've got some news," I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. "I'll be out of town for a couple weeks starting this Saturday. Work thing, but it's your father's special marinade, and Amanda's bringing the kids. I'm sure it will be wonderful," I said. "You'll have to tell me all about it when I get back." "Well, when will you be back? Your father has that cardiology follow-up on Tuesday, and I was counting on you to take him. I'll be gone for 10 days. I'm sure Jack can take Dad to his appointment." "Jack works during the day," she said, as if I didn't also have a full-time job. "So does everyone else, Mom. Including me. Jack can take a morning off just like I always do." The silence on the other end of the line told me this thought had genuinely never occurred to her. "Well, I suppose we'll figure something out," she finally said, her tone suggesting I was creating an unreasonable hardship. After ending the call, I returned to my laptop and began researching what to pack for the Maldives. As I scrolled through resort photos, making notes about appropriate attire, a notification popped up on my phone. It was from my mother's social media account. She'd posted a Throwback Thursday photo again. This time, it was an old family photo with all of us at the beach. The caption read, "Missing these days when all my chicks were in the nest. Family is everything." The photo had been taken on my 16th birthday. I remembered because it was the day we'd had to cut my birthday dinner short because Jack got food poisoning. In the picture, everyone was smiling except me. I looked tired, my smile forced. No one had noticed then and no one would notice now since I was partially cropped out of the frame, only my arm and half of my face visible at the edge. I closed the app and continued planning the vacation that would change everything. The next morning, I requested 10 days of vacation time from work. My boss seemed surprised. I rarely took time off and never for longer than a long weekend. "Good for you, Jordan," she said. "You've accrued so much vacation time, we were starting to worry you'd never use it. Where are you headed?" "The Maldives," I said, the words still feeling unreal on my tongue. Her eyebrows shot up. "Wow, that's unexpected. Special occasion." I hesitated only briefly. "Yes, my 30th birthday gift to myself." She smiled. "Well, you deserve it. We'll manage without you, though it won't be easy. Take lots of pictures." That simple exchange, her genuine happiness for me, her acknowledgement that I deserved something special, her recognition that I was valuable at work nearly brought me to tears. Why was it so easy for my boss to offer what my family never could? Over the next few days, I created elaborate cover stories for my family. I told them I'd been selected for a special marketing workshop that could lead to a promotion. I emphasized how boring it would be, how I'd be stuck in conference rooms all day. I made it sound like a hardship rather than an indulgence. "You're still coming to Tommy's t-ball game before you leave, right?" Amanda asked when I called to tell her I'd be away. "I can't, Amanda. I need to prepare for this workshop." "But you promised. He's expecting his Aunt Jordan to be there." The guilt trip was so predictable I almost laughed. "I'm sorry to disappoint him. Maybe Jack can go." "Jack doesn't have time for that," she scoffed, as if my time was somehow less valuable. "Neither do I this week," I replied, surprising myself with my firmness. "I need to focus on my career for once." The shopping spree I allowed myself the next day felt both exhilarating and terrifying. I'd always been frugal, always the one who bought generic brands and waited for sales. Standing in high-end stores selecting resort wear that cost more than I typically spent on a month of groceries made my hands shake. A saleswoman approached as I hesitantly examined a white sundress with delicate embroidery. "That would look lovely on you," she said. "Special trip planned." "Yes," I admitted. "A luxury resort in the Maldives." "How wonderful solo trip, or—" "Just me," I said, waiting for the pitying look people often give when you mention doing something alone. Instead, she smiled broadly. "Good for you, I did Italy by myself last year. Best decision ever. You can do exactly what you want when you want." Her words echoed in my mind as I continued shopping. Exactly what I want when I want. The concept was so foreign it almost didn't compute. When was the last time I'd made a decision without considering how it would affect my family? When had I last done something purely for my own pleasure? I couldn't remember. The day before my departure, panic set in. What was I thinking, spending all this money on myself? What if something happened to my parents while I was gone? What if Amanda or Jack needed me? What if this whole plan backfired and just proved how selfish and unnecessary I was? I almost called the resort to cancel. My finger hovered over the phone. Then it buzzed with a text from Jack. "Hey, can you lend me $500, car repair? We'll pay back next month." "No, how are you? No, excited about your trip, just another request." And he knew I was leaving tomorrow. I put the phone down without responding and finished packing. The morning of my departure felt surreal. My suitcase was by the door, my passport and boarding pass ready. I'd arranged for a car service to the airport, another luxury I'd never allowed myself before. As I waited, I scrolled through social media one last time. My mother had posted photos from Sunday dinner, the one I'd missed while packing. Everyone looked happy, raising glasses in a toast. The caption read, "Sunday dinner with my favorite people, missing no one." Those 4 words, "missing no one," crystallized everything. They weren't missing me because they didn't see me even when I was there. The car arrived, and I left without looking back. The airport experience was the first hint of how different this trip would be. I'd splurged on first-class tickets, and the priority check-in line was blissfully short. No one rushed me as I removed my shoes for security. The lounge where I waited for boarding offered comfortable chairs, free food, and a sense of calm I rarely experienced in my daily life. When they called for first-class boarding, I still hesitated, sure they would stop me, tell me there had been a mistake, direct me back to economy where I belonged. But the flight attendant just smiled and welcomed me aboard. The luxury of the first-class cabin momentarily overwhelmed me. The seat was wider than any chair in my apartment. It reclined fully into a bed. A flight attendant offered champagne before takeoff, and for a moment I almost declined. It was too extravagant, too unnecessary, too much for just me. Then I remembered this trip was about choosing myself for once. I accepted the champagne with a smile. Celebrating something special, the attendant asked as she handed me the flute. My 30th birthday, I said, the words still laced with disappointment. Well, happy birthday, first time in the Maldives. First time taking a real vacation in years, actually. She patted my shoulder. Then you picked the perfect destination. It's paradise. As the plane took off, I turned off my phone, disconnecting from the family that hadn't connected with me. For the next 15 hours, no one could reach me with their demands, their emergencies, their expectations. For the first time in memory, I was truly completely free. The sensation was so unfamiliar, it felt almost like grief. Midway through the flight, while most passengers were sleeping, I checked my work email on the plane's Wi-Fi. There was a message from my boss that made my heart stop. Jordan, I wanted this to wait until you returned, but I'm too excited to keep it quiet. The VP position we discussed last year is opening up and your name is at the top of the list. Your work on the Henderson campaign proved you're ready. We'll talk details when you return, but I wanted you to enjoy your vacation knowing that good things are waiting. Congratulations. I read the email 3 times, tears blurring my vision. All those late nights, those weekends working instead of joining family events, the projects I'd taken on when no one else would, someone had noticed. Someone had valued my contributions enough to consider me for a promotion I'd only dared dream about. My family had forgotten my birthday, but my professional worth had been recognized in the most meaningful way possible. The irony wasn't lost on me. I arrived at Male International Airport feeling both exhausted and exhilarated. A resort representative met me at arrivals, taking my luggage and guiding me to a private lounge, where I waited for the seaplane that would carry me the final distance to the resort. First time in the Maldives, the representative asked. Yes, I admitted. First time treating myself to something like this. He smiled. Then you are in for something very special, Miss Andrews. The seaplane flight offered views that made me forget my family drama entirely. Islands like green jewels scattered across the blue velvet of the ocean. The resort came into view, overwater bungalows extending from a pristine white beach, like the delicate legs of a starfish. As we landed on the water near the resort's dock, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years, pure, uncomplicated joy. The check-in process continued the theme of luxury. I was seated in an open-air pavilion, offered a cold towel and a welcome drink, and treated like I was the most important guest they'd ever received. We've upgraded you to one of our premium overwater villas, the manager informed me, with your own infinity pool and direct ocean access. There must be some mistake, I said automatically. I booked the standard overwater bungalow. No mistake, Miss Andrews. We had a cancellation, and as it's your birthday celebration, we thought you might enjoy the extra space. How did you know it's my birthday? I asked, confused. He smiled. You mentioned it in your booking notes. We like to make birthday celebrations special. I hadn't written anything about my birthday in the booking. I'd been too emotional at the time to think of it. But here was this stranger, this resort, acknowledging what my own family had forgotten. As I was escorted to my villa, I checked my phone for the first time since landing. There were missed calls from my mother and texts from both siblings. None mentioned my birthday. All contained requests or complaints. Mom, Jordan, call me when you land. Your father needs help setting up that new blood pressure monitor and I can't figure it out. Amanda, the kids are asking when you'll be back. Tommy has a school project due and needs your help. Jack, did you see my text about the loan? Kind of urgent, sis. I put the phone away without responding. They'd have to wait. For once in my life, they weren't my priority. The villa was beyond anything I could have imagined. Spacious, airy, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. The glass floor section revealed colorful fish swimming beneath the villa. The private deck had steps leading directly into the clear blue water, and the infinity pool seemed to merge with the ocean horizon. I stood on the deck watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold, and took my first vacation photo. No filters, no posing, just the pure beauty of the moment. After a moment's hesitation, I posted it to my social media with a simple caption: "Sometimes you have to create your own magic." No location tag, no explanation, just enough to make them wonder. As I settled into the plush, king-sized bed that night, my phone buzzed with notifications. Family members commenting on my photo, asking where I was, expressing surprise at the luxury setting that clearly wasn't the work conference I'd described. I turned off notifications, set my phone aside, and fell into the deepest sleep I'd had in years. Waking up in paradise was disorienting. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming: the gentle sound of waves lapping beneath the bungalow, the soft sea breeze through the open doors, the scent of tropical flowers. I lay in bed watching the early morning light play across the water visible through the floor to ceiling windows, and felt almost guilty for the luxury surrounding me. My entire life had been built around practicality and sacrifice. Sleeping in a bungalow that cost more per night than I typically spent on an entire week felt like breaking some unwritten rule about who I was allowed to be and what I deserved. The guilt lasted approximately 30 seconds, the time it took for me to walk onto the private deck and see a spotted eagle ray gliding through the crystal clear water below. How could I feel anything but gratitude in the face of such beauty? My first breakfast at the resort was another revelation. The server didn't rush me as I studied the extensive menu. No one needed me to make a quick decision so they could get to their preferred restaurant. No one complained about the price or asked if I could pay because they'd forgotten their wallet. I ordered exactly what I wanted: a tropical fruit platter, eggs Benedict with smoked salmon and freshly squeezed watermelon juice, without calculating the cost or worrying about anyone else's preferences. "Would you like to join our morning yoga session on the beach, Miss Andrews?" the server asked as he cleared my plates. "It's included in your stay." My instinctive response was to decline. I had always been the person who skipped optional activities to handle responsibilities. But what responsibilities did I have here? No one needed me to drive them anywhere or solve their problems or lend them money. "Yes," I said, surprising myself. "I'd like that very much." The yoga session introduced me to other solo travelers. There was Mariah from Seattle, celebrating her divorce with what she called her freedom tour. There was Todd from Chicago on a sabbatical from his law firm after 20 years without a proper vacation. There was Dana from Boston, who traveled alone every year on her birthday because family means well, but they never get it right. First solo trip, Mariah asked me as we rolled up our yoga mats after class. "Is it that obvious?" She laughed. "You have that look, half terrified, half ecstatic, like you're waiting for someone to tell you you've broken the rules." "That's exactly how I feel," I admitted. "I've never done anything like this." "Well, you're in good company. We're having dinner together tonight at the beachfront restaurant. You should join us." My people-pleasing instinct would normally make me accept immediately, but my new freedom allowed me to consider what I actually wanted. Did I want company, or was I enjoying the solitude? "Can I let you know later?" I asked. "I'm still adjusting to making my own schedule." Mariah grinned. "Perfect answer. No pressure. We'll be there at 7 if you decide to join." That simple exchange, being given options without expectations, felt revolutionary. I spent the morning exploring the resort, taking photos of tropical flowers, architectural details, and ocean vistas. Around lunchtime, I found a secluded beach cabana and ordered a light meal to be delivered there. As I waited, I checked my phone. The single photo I'd posted had generated a flurry of comments and messages. "Amanda, where are you? That doesn't look like any conference center I've ever seen." "Jack, since when do work trips include beach views? What's going on?" "Mom, Jordan, call me right away. We're worried about you." "Dad, rarely active on social media. Your mother is concerned. Please call when you can." Various friends, "Oh my God, looks amazing." "Get it, girl." "Wait, what? I thought you were at a work thing." I posted another photo, this one of my private infinity pool with the ocean stretching endlessly beyond it. Caption: "Finding my peace." Still no location tag, still no explanation. Then I turned off my data and put the phone away. The family that couldn't remember my birthday didn't deserve real-time updates about my life. That afternoon, I scheduled a massage at the resort spa, another first. I'd always considered spa treatments frivolous, an unnecessary luxury when there were bills to pay and family members to assist. The masseuse found knots in my shoulders that she said must have been there for years. You carry a lot of tension, she observed. Stress from work. Stress from being everyone's support system, I replied before I could censor myself. She worked on a particularly painful knot. Ah, you're the family rock. How did you know? I see it often. The ones who take care of everyone else rarely take care of themselves. Her words stayed with me, as I floated back to my villa, muscles relaxed for perhaps the first time in my adult life. That evening, I decided to join the solo travelers dinner group. We shared stories over fresh seafood and tropical cocktails, laughing about the misconceptions people had about traveling alone. My mother thinks I'm in constant danger because I'm by myself, Dana said, rolling her eyes. As if being accompanied by my chronically directionally challenged husband would somehow protect me from imaginary threats. My ex couldn't understand why I'd want to go anywhere without someone to share it with, Mariah added. But honestly, traveling alone means I don't have to share anything, not the bathroom, not my schedule, not my attention. What about you, Jordan Todd asked. What brought you here alone? I hesitated, then decided to share the truth. My family forgot my 30th birthday. Not just forgot to call completely, forgot it existed. It wasn't the first time, but something about 30 made it hurt more. So I booked this trip and didn't tell them where I was really going. Wait, Dana leaned forward. They think you're somewhere else right now. I nodded. At a marketing conference, in a budget hotel, suffering through PowerPoint presentations. But you're posting paradise photos, Mariah asked, eyes wide. Without captions explaining where I am, I confirmed. They're freaking out. The table erupted in laughter and applause. That, Todd declared, is the best birthday revenge I've ever heard. We stayed at dinner for hours, sharing more stories and advice. For the first time in my life, I felt completely seen and understood by a group of people. They weren't family, but they recognized parts of me that my family had always overlooked. Back in my villa that night, I posted one more photo, the empty chair across from me at dinner, with the star-filled sky and torch-lit beach in the background. Caption: some empty spaces are more peaceful than others. The next morning, I discovered the resort offered photography sessions with their staff photographer. On impulse, I booked a session for sunset. We'll capture you enjoying your vacation, the receptionist explained. Most guests want photos of themselves in paradise to remember their trip. My heart sank. Photos of me, I was always the one taking photos of others, documenting their achievements and special moments. The thought of being the subject made me uncomfortable. I almost canceled, but then remembered Dana's words from dinner. Every year I get professional photos taken on my trip. It's my way of saying, I was here, I matter, this moment counts. Even if no one else ever sees them. The photographer Garrett met me at my villa that afternoon. He was tall, with sun-streaked brown hair, and the relaxed confidence of someone who loved his job. So he said, after introducing himself, "What kind of photos are you hoping for today?" Honestly, I have no idea. I've never done anything like this before. First time being photographed on vacation. First time being the focus of vacation photos at all, I admitted. I'm usually the one behind the camera. Something in his expression told me he understood exactly what I meant. Well, Jordan, today, that changes. Everyone deserves to be the star of their own story sometimes. We started with simple shots around the villa, me on the deck, sitting by the infinity pool, leaning against the doorframe with the ocean behind me. I felt awkward and self-conscious at first. You keep trying to make yourself smaller, Garrett observed after reviewing the initial photos. Stand up straight, take up space. This is your vacation, your moment. His gentle direction helped me relax. As the session continued, moving from the villa to the beach, something inside me shifted. For once, I wasn't worrying about anyone else's needs or comfort. I was simply existing in a beautiful place, allowing that beauty to include me. These are turning out fantastic, Garrett said, showing me some preview shots on his camera. You're a natural once you stop overthinking it. The woman in those photos surprised me. She looked confident, at peace, almost radiant against the backdrop of paradise. Was that really me? As the sun began to set, casting golden light across the water, Garrett suggested one final shot. Stand at the edge of the water, looking out at the horizon. This isn't about posing for the camera anymore. Just be in this moment, feeling whatever you're feeling about this trip, about turning 30, about choosing yourself. I did as he suggested, letting the warm water lap at my feet, the gentle breeze playing with my hair. I thought about the journey that had brought me here, not just the physical distance traveled, but the emotional one. For the first time, I wasn't defined by what I could do for others. I was simply Jordan, worthy of celebration even when no one else remembered to celebrate me. Perfect, Garrett said, softly capturing the moment. That's the one. Later that evening, Garrett sent the photos to my resort email account. I scrolled through them in awe, barely recognizing the confident woman smiling back at me. On impulse, I selected the final sunset shot and posted it without filters or edits. Caption 30, flirty and absolutely thriving. Within minutes, my phone exploded with notifications. Friends gushing over how amazing I looked. Distant relatives I barely spoke to asking where I was. And my immediate family moving from confusion to what looked like genuine concern. Mom, Jordan, Marie Andrews, where exactly are you? This is clearly not a work conference. Call me right now. Jack, seriously sis, what's going on? Mom's freaking out. At least tell us where you are. Amanda, is this some kind of weird cry for attention because it's working? We're all confused. Also, you look really good. But call Mom. I was composing a deliberately vague response when a notification from my mother's social media account caught my eye. She'd posted a family photo, one that included me for once, with the caption, "Can't wait for Saturday, special family gathering to celebrate Jack's new job." The date she mentioned was during my vacation. They were planning a celebration for Jack's new job, which he'd gotten 3 weeks ago but couldn't be bothered to acknowledge my birthday. I put the phone down without responding to any of them and went to sleep. The next few days fell into a peaceful rhythm. Morning yoga, leisurely breakfast, exploring the island or snorkeling in the crystal clear waters, lunch at a different restaurant each day afternoon, relaxation by my private pool dinner, either alone or with my new friends. Garrett and I crossed paths frequently. The resort wasn't that large, and he seemed to be everywhere photographing various guests and events. We developed an easy friendship, getting coffee together one morning, when we both happened to be at the beachfront cafe. "How's the birthday vacation going?" he asked. "Better than I could have imagined," I admitted. I keep waiting to feel guilty about spending the money or taking time for myself, but instead I just feel free, he suggested. Exactly. Free to be myself without managing everyone else's emotions and needs. And the family situation, any updates there? I showed him my phone where dozens of increasingly frantic messages had accumulated. "They're losing their minds," I said with a small, slightly guilty smile. "Part of me feels bad for worrying them, but another part is enjoying that they finally notice your absence," he finished for me. "Is that terrible?" He shook his head. "It's human. Sometimes people don't appreciate what they have until it's not available anymore." "The thing is," I said, surprising myself with my candor, "I'm not sure they ever really had me, the real me. They had their version of me, reliable, always available, never needing anything for herself. And that's not who you really are." I looked out at the ocean, considering the question. It's part of who I am. I do care about them. I do want to help when I can. But it's not all I am, and it can't be all I am anymore. He nodded, understanding in his eyes. "So, what happens when you go back?" It was the question I'd been avoiding since I arrived. "I don't know. I can't go back to how things were before. But I don't know how to change relationships that have been this way for decades. Maybe start by keeping some of this with you," he said, gesturing to our surroundings. "Not the luxury, but the clarity. The knowledge that you deserve to be seen." That afternoon, scrolling through my family group chat, I discovered they'd moved from concern to outrage. My father had texted, "Your mother is beside herself with worry. This behavior is completely irresponsible." Jack had added, "Whatever point you're trying to make, you've made it. Just tell us where you are already." Amanda's contribution was perhaps the most revealing. "We get it, you're having fun without us. But did you have to choose now when we had family plans?" That was when I realized they weren't actually worried about my safety. They were upset that I was unavailable to them, that I was experiencing something they weren't part of, that I had disrupted their expectations of who I was supposed to be. I finally responded to the group chat, "I'm safe, happy, and enjoying a much-needed vacation. I'll be back in 5 days as planned." The responses were immediate. "Mom, a vacation. You told us it was a work conference." "Dad, why would you lie about something like that?" "Amanda, so you're missing Jack's celebration on purpose. That's low, Jordan." "Jack, I can't believe you do this right when I got my promotion. You knew we were planning something." Not a single question about why I'd felt the need to lie. Not a single acknowledgement that maybe, just maybe, I deserved a vacation. And certainly no belated recognition that they'd missed my 30th birthday entirely. I put the phone down, hands shaking with a mixture of hurt and anger. Then I did something I'd never done before. I turned off my phone completely and left it in the villa safe. For the next 24 hours, I was completely unreachable. I went scuba diving, explored a nearby uninhabited island, had dinner with my solo traveler friends, and watched the sunset from my private deck, all without once checking for messages or feeling obligated to document my experiences for others. It was the most liberating day of my adult life. When I finally turned my phone back on the following evening, I had 67 missed calls, 32 voicemails, and over 100 text messages. My family had moved from annoyance to panic. The most recent message from my mother read, "We've contacted your work. They told us you're on vacation. If we don't hear from you in 24 hours, we're filing a missing persons report." I immediately called her, realizing that perhaps I'd taken things too far. "Jordan," she answered on the first ring. "Where on earth are you? We've been worried sick." "I'm fine, Mom. I'm at a resort in the Maldives." The silence on the other end lasted so long I thought we'd been disconnected. "The Maldives," she finally repeated. "The islands in the Indian Ocean." "Yes. But why? How? That must cost a fortune." Of course, that was her first concern. Not why I'd felt the need to lie, but how I'd afforded it. "I saved up," I said simply. "But why wouldn't you tell us? Why make up a story about a work conference? Would you have remembered if I told you I was taking a special trip for my 30th birthday?" Another long silence. "Your birthday," she said quietly. "Oh, Jordan." "Yes, Mom. My 30th birthday. Last Monday. The one all of you forgot. Again." I heard her inhale sharply. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. We've been so busy with Jack's promotion and Amanda's kids' activities." "You're always busy with Jack's something or Amanda's something," I said, my voice steadier than I expected. "You remembered the day you adopted Luna 5 years ago, but you forgot the day your daughter was born 30 years ago. That's not fair, Jordan. We love you just as much as your siblings." "I know you love me, Mom, but you don't see me. You don't value my time or my needs the way you do theirs. You expect me to drop everything whenever any of you need something, but when I need something as simple as acknowledgement on my birthday, it's too much to ask." I heard muffled conversation on her end, then my father's voice came on the line. "Jordan, this is ridiculous. You flew halfway around the world because we forgot your birthday. Do you have any idea how worried your mother has been?" "I didn't fly here because you forgot my birthday, Dad. I flew here because I deserved a celebration, and I knew I'd have to create it for myself." "Well, you've made your point. When are you coming home? You're missing Jack's celebration on Saturday." No apology. No acknowledgement. Just another expectation that I would put someone else's celebration above my own. "I'll be home when my vacation ends as planned. I'm sorry I'll miss Jack's party, but I'm sure you'll take lots of pictures. Your brother will be very disappointed. I'm sure he'll survive just like I've survived missing out on things I cared about because of family obligations." After ending the call with my parents, I turned off notifications for the family group chat and went to dinner. I'd chosen to dine alone that night, wanting time to process the conversation. I was halfway through my meal when Garrett approached my table. "Mind if I join you? My shift just ended and the staff dining room is closed." I gestured to the empty chair across from me. "Please do." "Tough day?" he asked, noticing my expression. "Finally confronted my family. It didn't go well." He waited, letting me decide how much to share. "They're more upset about me missing my brother's job celebration than they are about forgetting my birthday. They still don't get it. Family patterns are hard to break," he said, "especially when they benefit everyone except the person trying to break them." "How do you know so much about this stuff?" I asked. He smiled ruefully. "Let's just say you're not the only one who's had to redefine family expectations. In my case, it was about career choices, rather than being the designated helper, but the dynamics were similar." We talked late into the night, sharing more personal stories. Garrett was from California, had studied photography in college against his father's wishes, and had traveled the world taking photos before settling into this resort job 2 years ago. He understood what it meant to disappoint family expectations in order to honor your own needs. The next morning, I received a message from the resort manager, asking me to stop by the front desk. Concerned there was an issue with my room or bill, I went immediately after breakfast. "Miss Andrews," the manager greeted me warmly. "I wanted to inform you that we've been receiving numerous phone calls from people claiming to be your family members. They've been quite insistent about getting information regarding your stay and have asked about joining you here." My stomach dropped. "Joining me? They want to come here?" Yes, several calls inquiring about availability and whether they could surprise you by arriving this weekend. I wanted to check with you before providing any information as we take our guests' privacy very seriously. I felt simultaneously touched that they'd respect my privacy and furious that my family would try to invade the one space I'd created just for myself. Thank you for letting me know. I do not want them to join me, and I'd appreciate if you didn't share any information about my stay. Of course, Miss Andrews. We'll continue to protect your privacy. I returned to my villa in a daze. My family trying to surprise me by showing up here, it was inconceivable. They'd never gone to such lengths for me before. My phone rang, Amanda. Against my better judgment, I answered. So she said without preamble, the Maldives, huh? Looks amazing. Jack and I were thinking we could fly out and join you this weekend. Make it a proper family vacation. No, I said immediately, that's not possible. Why not? There must be other rooms available. Mom and Dad would watch the kids and Jack and I could use a getaway. It would be fun. Amanda, I specifically chose to come here alone. This is my birthday gift to myself. Oh, come on, don't be selfish. We hardly ever get to experience luxury like this. You could at least share. Her use of the word selfish ignited something in me. Selfish, I've spent my entire adult life at everyone's beck and call. I've rearranged my schedule countless times to help with your kids. I've loaned Jack money he never repays. I've driven Dad to every appointment. I've stayed close to home when both of you moved away. And taking one vacation by myself is selfish. That's different, she protested. That's just what family does for each other. No, Amanda, that's what I do for all of you. When was the last time any of you rearranged your lives to help me? We would if you needed it, you just never ask. I shouldn't have to ask for you to remember my birthday. There was a pause. Look, we feel terrible about that, which is why we want to make it up to you by joining your vacation. We could celebrate properly there. I recognized the manipulation technique, making their intrusion sound like a gift to me, rather than what it really was, their desire to participate in a luxury experience they hadn't earned or paid for. Amanda, the answer is no. I'll be home in 4 days. We can talk then. After hanging up, I received a text from Jack Way to make Amanda cry. Real nice, sis. All we wanted to do was celebrate with you. I turned off my phone again and went for a long swim in the ocean, letting the salt water wash away my anger and hurt. That afternoon I had a scheduled sunset cruise around the nearby islands. As luck would have it, Garrett was assigned to photograph the excursion. Family drama round 2, he asked, noting my distracted expression as we boarded the traditional Maldivian dhoni boat. They tried to invite themselves to my vacation, I said, still incredulous. They called the resort, asking about joining me this weekend. Wow, that's invasive. And when I said no, they called me selfish. He shook his head. Classic. When you stop fulfilling your assigned role, you become the villain of their story. Exactly. They're acting like they want to celebrate with me, but really they just want to experience this luxury without paying for it themselves. Did they mention anything about your actual room? The question caught me off guard. What do you mean? Just wondering if they expected to stay with you or if they were planning to book their own accommodations. I hadn't even considered that possibility. They didn't specify, but knowing them, they probably assumed they'd crash with you, he finished. In your private sanctuary. The thought made me physically recoil. My overwater villa was spacious, but it was designed for 1 or 2 people, not 3 adults. The idea of Jack and Amanda invading that space, complaining about who got the couch using my bathroom, disrupting my peace. I need to make sure the resort knows not to let them check in at all, I said, suddenly anxious, even if they book their own room. I think the manager already has your back on that, Garrett assured me. But it might be worth following up. The sunset cruise should have been magical, and parts of it were. The changing colors of the sky reflected on the calm water, the dolphins that briefly accompanied our boat, the fresh fruit and champagne served by attentive staff. But the knowledge that my family was trying to insert themselves into my carefully planned escape cast a shadow over the experience. When we returned to the resort, I went straight to the front desk and confirmed that under no circumstances were any members of my family to be allowed to check in or be given information about my stay. Consider it done, Miss Andrews, the manager assured me. Your privacy is our priority. Back in my villa, I turned on my phone to find more missed calls and messages. The most recent was a voicemail from my mother. Jordan, honey, we're very concerned about you. This isn't like you running off to some island without telling us and then refusing to let your siblings visit. Jack and Amanda are very hurt. They only wanted to support you and celebrate your birthday properly. Your father and I think you might be going through something serious, maybe a midlife crisis. Please call us back. We just want to help." The voicemail perfectly encapsulated everything wrong with our family dynamic. My reasonable boundary was being pathologized as a crisis. My desire for space was characterized as hurtful to others. And their attempt to invade my vacation was framed as support rather than the intrusion it actually was. I texted a simple response to the family group chat. "I'm fine. I'm enjoying my vacation. I'll see you all when I return as scheduled. Please respect my space." Then I muted the chat again and tried to reclaim my peaceful evening. The next morning, I woke to an email notification that chilled my blood. It was a resort confirmation for a connecting room request under the names Jack Andrews and Amanda Andrews Peterson. Despite my explicit instructions, my siblings had somehow booked a room at the resort for the coming weekend. I rushed to the front desk in a panic. "There must be some mistake," the manager said, checking his system. "We declined all booking requests from those names as you asked." "Then how did they get this confirmation?" He examined the email I showed him, then frowned. "This confirmation number isn't in our system. It appears to be a fabrication." "A what?" "Someone created a fake confirmation email. It's not from our resort." I stared at him in disbelief. "Are you saying my siblings created a fake hotel confirmation?" "I can't say who created it, but I can confirm it didn't come from us. No rooms have been booked under those names." Relief flooded through me quickly, followed by anger. They had created a fake confirmation to trick me into thinking they were coming, probably hoping I'd give in once I believed it was a done deal. I returned to my villa and did something I'd never done before. I blocked all their numbers. Family emergency or not, I deserved the remainder of my vacation in peace. That decision lifted an invisible weight I hadn't realized I'd been carrying. For the first time in my adult life, I was completely unavailable to my family. The freedom was intoxicating. I spent that day with my solo traveler friends, exploring a nearby reef with a marine biologist guide, laughing and sharing stories without once checking my phone. That evening, I ran into Garrett at the beachfront bar. "You look lighter," he observed. "Like you've set down a heavy load." "I blocked them all," I admitted. "Every single family member. Just until I get home." "Good for you. How does it feel?" "Terrifying. Liberating. Like I'm breaking some fundamental rule of who I'm supposed to be." He raised his glass to me. "Here's to breaking the rules that break us." We ended up having dinner together, and for the first time, it felt less like a casual friendship and more like something with potential. Garrett was easy to talk to, understood my family situation without judgment, and made me laugh in a way I hadn't in years. "So what happens when you go back?" he asked as we walked along the beach after dinner. "I've been thinking about that a lot," I said. "I can't go back to being everyone's safety net, but I also can't cut them off completely." "Boundaries aren't walls," he said. "They're fences with gates you control." "I like that. I need to build better fences." And maybe, he added hesitantly, leave room for other things in your life. Things that aren't about family obligation. "Things like what?" He stopped walking and turned to face me. "Like this," he said softly and kissed me. When I returned to my villa that night, I felt like a different person than the woman who had arrived at this resort a week ago. That Jordan had been defined by what she did for others. This Jordan was beginning to define herself. My second to last day in paradise dawned with unusual clarity, both in the sky and in my mind. I'd slept better than I had in years, perhaps because I'd finally lifted the constant burden of family availability from my shoulders. Or perhaps because Garrett's kiss had awakened something in me that had been dormant for too long. Over breakfast, I made a decision. I'd been avoiding a direct confrontation with my family, responding to their manipulation with evasion rather than honesty. But nothing would change if I didn't clearly articulate the problem and my expectations moving forward. I unblocked their numbers and texted the family group chat, "I'd like to have a video call with all of you today. There are some important things we need to discuss before I return home." Their responses were immediate and varied. "Mom, thank goodness you're speaking to us again. Yes, we need to talk about what's gotten into you." "Dad, finally ready to explain yourself. We'll make time." "Amanda, about time. You can apologize for being so rude about us joining your vacation." "Jack, whatever. I've got 30 minutes at lunch." Their responses only reinforced the necessity of this conversation. They still saw me as the problem, the one who had disrupted the family dynamic by daring to prioritize myself. We arranged the call for 1 o'clock my time, which was early morning back home. I spent the morning preparing both emotionally and practically. I made notes about specific patterns I wanted to address, examples of times I'd been overlooked or taken advantage of, and clear boundaries I intended to establish. I also arranged with the resort to use a private meeting room for the call. I didn't want this confrontation to invade my villa, the space that had become my sanctuary. At precisely 1 o'clock, I connected to the video call. My family's faces appeared on screen, all gathered at my parents' house. They looked tired and annoyed, which immediately triggered my caretaker instinct, the urge to apologize, to smooth things over, to make everyone comfortable at my own expense. I took a deep breath and reminded myself why this conversation was necessary. "Thank you all for making time for this call," I began. "Jordan, Marie," my mother interrupted immediately, "we've been worried sick about you. This behavior is completely unlike you." "Actually, Mom, that's what I want to talk about. Your idea of what's like me versus who I actually am and what I actually need." "What's that supposed to mean?" my father asked, frowning. "It means," I said carefully, "that for years I've played a specific role in this family. The reliable one. The fixer. The one who drops everything when anyone needs help. And in return, I've been consistently overlooked and undervalued." "That's ridiculous," Amanda protested. "We appreciate everything you do. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, appreciation would look like reciprocity. It would look like remembering my birthday. It would look like respecting my time and my boundaries." "Is that what this whole drama is about? Your birthday?" Jack scoffed. "You flew to the other side of the world and ghosted your family because we didn't say happy birthday." "No, Jack. I took a vacation I'd earned with my own money to celebrate a milestone birthday that all of you forgot. The drama, as you call it, is about a pattern of behavior that's gone on for years." "What pattern?" my mother asked, genuinely confused. "We're a close family. We help each other." "No, Mom. I help all of you. When was the last time any of you rearranged your lives to help me? When was the last time you recognized something important to me without me having to ask or remind you? When was the last time my needs came first?" Silence fell over the call. My family exchanged glances, clearly uncomfortable with the direction of the conversation. "We didn't realize you felt this way," my father finally said. "That's part of the problem. You didn't realize because you never asked. Because my feelings and needs haven't been a priority." "That's not fair," Amanda protested. "You're always included in family events." "Am I?" "Because last month you scheduled Tommy's birthday party on the same day as my art show, the one I'd been telling you about for weeks, and then got angry when I couldn't attend." "That was the only day the venue was available," she said defensively. "And last Christmas," I continued, "when I offered to host dinner for once, you all decided to go to Jack's place instead, because it was more convenient, even though I'd already bought all the ingredients." "Jack's place is bigger," my mother pointed out. "The point is, my efforts and desires are consistently treated as less important than everyone else's. And when I finally do something just for myself, you try to insert yourselves into that too." "We were trying to celebrate with you," Amanda exclaimed. "No, you were trying to capitalize on a luxury vacation you hadn't planned or paid for. You created a fake hotel confirmation to manipulate me. You called the resort multiple times trying to get information about my stay after I explicitly asked for space." My father's expression changed from defensive to surprised. "A fake confirmation, Amanda Jack, is that true?" My siblings looked uncomfortable. "We thought if she believed we were already coming, she'd stop being so selfish about it," Jack muttered. "See, that's exactly what I'm talking about," I said. "You call me selfish for taking one vacation by myself after years of dropping everything whenever any of you needed something. Do you have any idea how hurtful that is?" "We didn't mean to hurt you," my mother said softly. "We just don't understand why you wouldn't want your family with you." "Because for once I wanted something that was just for me. Something that wasn't about taking care of everyone else's needs." "Is that really so hard to understand?" There was another uncomfortable silence. "Look," I continued, "I love all of you. But the dynamic we've established isn't sustainable for me anymore. I can't continue to be everyone's emergency contact, interest-free bank, on-call babysitter, and emotional support system while receiving so little in return." "So, what are you saying?" my father asked. "You're cutting us off." "No. I'm establishing boundaries. I'm reclaiming my time and energy. I'm asking to be treated with the same consideration I've always shown all of you." "And if we don't," Jack challenged, "then I'll continue creating distance until you do. This isn't a threat, it's self-preservation." My mother looked genuinely distressed. "I had no idea you felt so. Overlooked." That's the thing, Mom. You shouldn't need me to have a breakdown and fly to another continent for you to notice that your daughter matters. Tears filled her eyes. You're right. I've taken you for granted because you never complained. I assumed you were fine with the way things were. I wasn't fine. I was conditioned to put everyone else first. But I'm learning that I deserve better. For the first time, Jack looked genuinely uncomfortable rather than annoyed. About your birthday, he said awkwardly, I actually did remember. I thought it wasn't a big deal to you. You never make a fuss about these things. Because no one ever gave me permission to make a fuss about myself, I replied. Every time I tried to celebrate something important to me, it was overshadowed by someone else's needs or achievements. Amanda had been unusually quiet. Now she spoke up, her voice smaller than usual. I think I've been jealous of you, she admitted. You're so independent, so capable. You built your career while I got married young and had kids right away. Sometimes asking for your help is my way of, making myself feel important in your life. Her admission stunned me. Amanda, you've always been important to me. I love you and your kids. I just need my importance to be acknowledged too. We can do better, my father said firmly. We should do better. That's all I'm asking for, I said. Equal consideration, mutual support, real appreciation rather than expectation. But does that mean you won't help anymore when we need you? My mother asked anxiously. It means I'll help when I can, not at the expense of my own well-being. It means sometimes the answer will be no, and that needs to be respected. It means I expect the support to go both ways. We talked for another hour, digging into specific patterns and expectations. It wasn't easy. There were moments of defensiveness of old habits reasserting themselves, but there were also moments of genuine recognition and remorse. My family began to see me, really see me perhaps for the first time. About this weekend, Jack said near the end of the call. We were planning to celebrate my promotion on Saturday. I braced myself for guilt-tripping about missing it, but he continued surprising me. I think we should reschedule for when you're back. It wouldn't be the same without you. It was a small gesture, but it felt monumental. As we prepared to end the call, my mother leaned closer to the camera. Jordan, she said softly, I'm so sorry we forgot your birthday. And I'm even more sorry it took something this dramatic for us to recognize how we've been treating you. I love you, sweetie. I promise we'll do better. I love you too, Mom. All of you. That's why this conversation was so important. After ending the call, I sat in the empty meeting room for several minutes processing what had happened. The conversation hadn't solved everything, but it had broken open a space for change. For the first time, my family had been forced to see me as a person with needs and feelings, rather than just a resource to be tapped. I left the meeting room feeling both emotionally drained and strangely energized. Outside, Garrett was waiting with 2 coconut drinks. How did it go? He asked, handing me one. About as well as family confrontations can go, I said, taking a grateful sip. Some defensiveness, some genuine remorse, promises to do better. Do you believe them? I considered the question carefully. I believe they want to do better. Whether they can break lifelong habits remains to be seen. And if they can't, then I'll keep enforcing my boundaries until they do. I'm not going back to being invisible, he smiled. I like this version of Jordan. The one who knows her worth. I'm still getting to know her myself, I admitted. But I think I like her too. We spent my final day in paradise together. Garrett had arranged to take the day off, and we explored parts of the island I hadn't seen yet. A hidden cove with extraordinary snorkeling, a local village where we bought handmade crafts, a cliff overlooking the endless ocean where we watched dolphins play in the distance. I'm going to miss this place, I said as the sun began to set on my last evening. Just the place, Garrett asked, a hint of vulnerability in his voice. I turned to face him. No, not just the place. Good, because I was thinking. San Francisco isn't that far from Los Angeles. Weekend trips are definitely possible. You want to see me after I leave? Jordan, I've wanted to see more of you since the moment you arrived and told me you were celebrating your birthday alone. Anyone who would travel this far to honor themselves is someone worth knowing better. As the sunset painted the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, he kissed me again. This time I didn't overthink it or question whether I deserved it. I simply allowed myself to feel everything, the warmth of his touch, the beauty surrounding us, the newfound strength within me. That night, I packed my suitcase with a sense of completion rather than dread. I wasn't returning to my old life. I was bringing a new perspective back with me. The woman who had arrived in the Maldives feeling forgotten and undervalued was not the same woman who would board tomorrow's flight home. The flight home gave me time to reflect on everything that had changed in 10 short days. Externally, I looked much the same, perhaps a little more tanned, a little more rested, but internally a fundamental shift had occurred. I'd rediscovered my worth, reclaimed my voice, and remembered how to prioritize my own happiness. As the plane began its descent into San Francisco, I turned on my phone to find a surprising message from Amanda. "We're planning a welcome home dinner for you tomorrow night. No agenda, no expectations, just family time to catch up. Only if you're feeling up to it after your long trip." The "if you're feeling up to it" was new, a small acknowledgement that my comfort mattered. It was a tiny step, but a meaningful one. My apartment felt strangely unfamiliar when I finally unlocked the door, as if it belonged to my former self rather than the woman I'd become. The stack of mail on the floor included a thick envelope with my parents' return address. Inside was a belated birthday card signed by everyone, including my nieces and nephews, along with a note from my mother. "Jordan, I don't have adequate words to express how sorry I am for taking you for granted all these years. Your father and I have been doing a lot of soul-searching since our conversation. We've realized how much we've leaned on you without giving back. That ends now. I hope you can forgive us and give us the chance to be better parents to you. All our love, Mom and Dad." Enclosed with the card was a gift certificate for a local spa, a small acknowledgement of my newfound appreciation for self-care. It wasn't about the monetary value, but the recognition that I deserved to be pampered sometimes. I unpacked slowly, carefully, placing my resort souvenirs around the apartment, a small handcrafted wooden box from the local village, a framed photo of the sunset. Garrett had taken a bottle of sand from my beach. Each item was a tangible reminder of the person I'd discovered myself to be. The welcome home dinner the next evening was surprisingly pleasant. My family made visible efforts to change their patterns. Jack offered to drive our father to his next doctor's appointment. Amanda asked about my work promotion rather than immediately launching into stories about her kids. My mother had prepared my favorite childhood meal rather than the usual Sunday dinner fare. When I showed them photos from my trip, carefully curated to exclude the more private moments with Garrett, they asked genuine questions rather than making envious comments or dismissing my experiences. "You look so happy in these," my mother observed, studying a photo of me on the sunset cruise. "More relaxed than I've seen you in years." I was happy, I confirmed. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't worried about anyone else's needs. It was just about what I wanted in each moment. "We should all learn to do that more often," my father said, surprising me. "I think we forget sometimes that taking care of ourselves isn't selfish, it's necessary." "That's exactly right, Dad." The real test came when Amanda mentioned she needed a babysitter the following weekend. "I know you just got back," she said, "but Taylor has a dance recital on Saturday and Sam has a cold." I was hoping. My mother interrupted her. "Amanda, your sister just returned from a long trip. She needs time to readjust. I can watch Sam while you and Brian take Taylor to her recital." Amanda looked momentarily surprised, then nodded. "You're right. Sorry, Jordan. Old habits." "It's okay," I assured her. "I'm happy to help sometimes, just not every time, and not without acknowledgement." "We're working on it," Jack said. "It's going to take some time to break years of patterns." "I know. I appreciate that you're trying." As the evening wound down, my father cleared his throat awkwardly. "We noticed you mentioned someone named Garrett in some of your stories. Anyone special?" I couldn't help but smile. "Maybe. It's new, but promising." "Well, we'd like to meet him sometime," my mother said. "If things develop." "He lives in Los Angeles," I said. "We're planning to visit each other when we can." "Long distance is hard," Amanda said. "But if he's worth it." "He is," I said simply. "Then we're happy for you," my father said, and I believed him. Later that week, I met with my boss to discuss the VP position. The promotion would mean more responsibility, more travel, and significantly more money. In the past, I might have hesitated, worried about how my family would cope without my constant availability. Now I accepted enthusiastically. "You've earned this, Jordan," my boss said. "I've been waiting years for you to stop downplaying your contributions and embrace your potential." That weekend, I declined a family barbecue to spend time setting up my new home office for my expanded role. No one complained or tried to make me feel guilty. When Jack texted asking if I could help him move some furniture on Sunday, I responded that I was busy but could assist the following weekend. He accepted my boundary without pushback. These were small changes, but significant ones. The family dynamic was shifting slowly but surely towards something more balanced. 2 weeks after my return, I flew to Los Angeles to see Garrett. The weekend was perfect, exploring his favorite spots in the city, cooking dinner together in his apartment, falling asleep talking about everything and nothing. We made plans for him to visit San Francisco the following month. "You seem different here than you were at the resort," he observed as we walked along Venice Beach. "Different how?" "More settled, more certain. At the resort, you were discovering your strength. Here, you're simply living it." His observation resonated deeply. The transformation that had begun in the Maldives was continuing in my everyday life. 3 months later, I organized a family vacation, a simple weekend at a lake house a few hours from the city. Nothing exotic or luxurious, but it was the first family trip that I had initiated and planned. Everyone contributed financially and with preparation tasks. No one expected me to handle everything. As we sat around the campfire on the final evening, my mother raised her mug of hot chocolate. "To Jordan," she said, "for teaching us all that family means supporting each other equally, not just leaning on the strongest member until they break." "And to boundaries," Jack added with a wry smile, "for making us better people even when we resist them." "And to luxury vacations," Amanda laughed, "for shaking up the status quo when nothing else works." I smiled, feeling the warmth of true family connection perhaps for the first time in my adult life. "And to new beginnings," I added, "it's never too late to rewrite the rules." Later that night, as I stood alone on the dock looking at the stars reflected in the still lake water, I thought about how far we'd all come. My family wasn't perfect. They still slipped sometimes into old patterns, and I occasionally fell back into my people-pleasing ways. But the fundamental dynamic had shifted. I was seen. I was valued. I mattered not just for what I could do for others, but for who I was. My phone buzzed with a text from Garrett. "How's the family vacation going?" I sent back a photo of the lake house with everyone gathered on the porch, followed by, "Surprisingly well. Everyone's trying. How soon can you visit again?" His response made me smile. "Just booked a flight for next weekend. Can't wait to see you. Missing your smile." 6 months after my birthday vacation, Garrett relocated to San Francisco for a photography position at a major magazine. We moved in together 3 months later. My family welcomed him warmly, making genuine efforts to get to know him as an individual rather than just an extension of me. A year after the forgotten birthday that changed everything, my family threw me a surprise party for my 31st, a genuine surprise that they had planned meticulously without demanding my involvement or assistance. As I looked around at the decorated room filled with people who truly saw me, I realized that the painful awakening of the previous year had led to the healthiest, most authentic relationships of my adult life. That night, after everyone had gone and Garrett and I were cleaning up, he pulled a small box from his pocket. "I was going to wait until your actual birthday next week," he said, "but this feels right." Inside was a delicate ring with a small diamond flanked by 2 sapphires, the exact color of the Maldivian Ocean where we'd met. "Because you were brave enough to choose yourself," he said as he slid it onto my finger, "you made space for us. I want to spend my life with a woman who knows her worth." As we begin planning our wedding for next spring, I sometimes think about that lonely 30th birthday that pushed me to my breaking point. The pain was real, the disappointment acute. But without that catalyst, I might never have found the courage to demand better from my family and from myself. The greatest gift I received on that forgotten birthday wasn't the luxury vacation I booked in a moment of hurt and defiance. It was the permission to value myself, to establish boundaries, to expect reciprocity in my relationships. It was the realization that being reliable doesn't mean being a doormat, that loving your family doesn't require sacrificing your identity, that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. Sometimes the most painful moments in our lives lead to the most necessary transformations. Sometimes we have to break patterns to build something better. And sometimes being forgotten is the first step to being truly seen. Have you ever had to establish difficult boundaries with people you love? How did you find the courage to stand up for yourself when it felt easier to maintain the status quo? Comment below with your experience. If this story resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel for more stories about personal growth and family dynamics, and share with someone who might need permission to prioritize themselves. Thank you for listening, and remember, Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's the foundation of every healthy relationship you'll ever have.